Justin A.W. Blair here, writer, painter, occasional YouTuber. I'm here today to talk about The Big Game, the fourth book in the Star Trek Deep Space Nine series of novels, which came out in the early 90s. I believe this is still 93, 94-ish. That's what we're looking at. Right off the bat, I want to tell you, this is the best one I've read so far in the series. Sandy Schofield is the writer. That's the name on the cover of the book. However, I'm here to bring you the deep lore, the truth behind the fiction. Sandy Schofield is not the name of this writer. It is a husband and wife team, apparently, that decided to use the nom de plume of Sandy Schofield for some reason. Not really sure, but Schofield's my favorite so far. Not gonna lie to you. Starts out, I'm gonna tell you the good and the bad. I'm here to tell you about the good and the bad of this. You know, maybe you're a huge fan of Deep Space Nine. I like Deep Space Nine a lot. Possibly my favorite Star Trek series ever. It's between that and The Next Generation. But I'm here to tell you the truth and the lies, and the fiction, the non-fiction behind all these books. Give you a little recommendation. Should you pick it up? Should you not pick it up? Should you discard it? Should you clear it from your memory banks? Well, first off, let's talk about the good and the bad. The setup for The Big Game is interesting. Essentially, you have a galactic poker tournament happening at Quark's, the back room behind Quark's bar. Now, during this poker tournament, there's plenty of shenanigans, Quark shenanigans going on, cheating, lying, stealing, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, we also have a murder. And this is what I've noticed so far about pretty much every Deep Space Nine novel besides The Emissary, which is the first one, which is a direct novelization of the first episode of Deep Space Nine. They really do the murder mystery thing. That's what they lean on. All these plots. Someone gets killed. Odo has to figure out who it is. The thing about this is that the murder plot actually just ends halfway through and really has nothing to do with anything. It lends a clue to what becomes the major plot and storyline of the book, but it really kind of goes nowhere, which in a way was a relief because I didn't really want to read another murder mystery Deep Space Nine novel. So in terms of the good, the writing is better here, though it starts out better and then a few chapters in becomes a little uneven. I didn't read the introduction where I learned that this was a husband and wife team writing, so it didn't really occur to me why that would happen, besides maybe editing or rushed writing process or something. What I assume happened is that one, either the wife or the husband, switched off and started writing some chapter, and they're just not as good a writer as the other one. Regardless, the writing is fairly strong throughout. It's not bad. It becomes a little choppy. What else is good about this? Like I said, the setup for it I think is pretty interesting. The idea of a galactic poker tournament held at Quark's, that's good. It makes me want to read it. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see what's happening here. The other strong point about this book, I think, is the revelation of what the plot ends up being about, which is a clan of aliens called, I believe it's Ghost Riders, that move throughout subspace hunting energy organisms. And that was a decent bit of imagination. It was interesting, held my attention. Good enough. Actually, one of the better little plot lines so far in these books. The other good thing I thought they did here was they used they did some fan service. They did a little deep lore. They brought back some characters that you'll see on The Next Generation, minor characters. I enjoy the minor characters of Star Trek, some of them. Some of them are great, and so when you find that they bring these characters back, whether in other series or in other books, I enjoy that quite a bit. I'm actually not going to spoil it for you. There's at least two characters that are minor characters from episodes of The Next Generation that make a debut at the poker game, and I enjoyed that. Thought that was fun. The first thing that didn't work here, I mentioned, is there is a murder mystery, but it's solved, and there's not really much of a mystery. It's just very blatantly they catch the murderer trying to murder again, and then that just disappears and really isn't important at all. So I wonder if that was a product of there being two writers here. Like one writer had the idea, let's do a murder mystery, and then maybe they got to a certain word count and just realized they needed to end that and move on. I'm not really sure. The other element here that doesn't really work is something that Star Trek has a problem with, which is there is a discovery that by entering and coming out of a certain type of subspace area, phasing in and out of that, causes massive ripples in space, which is essentially weaponized. Sisko figures out how to weaponize that, and then they do so versus Cardassian warships. And in essence, what you have is a rather quick rigging up of a shuttlecraft or runabout, which then moves towards 5 Cardassian warships and disables and almost destroys all 5 of them by simply pressing a button that phases them into a different part of subspace. And the issue here is, and you see this a lot of times in Star Trek if you think about it, some discovery is made that essentially would be a massive upgrade in weapons capability for a civilization, and then it just disappears. If it is possible to take out 5 warships by just doing this, then in theory they should always have a runabout onboard DS9 ready to go to do this, to attack enemies, because then the space station would have one extra layer of protection. Plus, you would see this discovery play out, one would assume, throughout Starfleet, and you would see it used in, battles and weapons, battles, engagements, whatnot. And the way that this can be solved is they can put some sort of downside to using it in there, which then tells us, okay, that's maybe why it wouldn't be used later, but that isn't really done here. A minor thing, and something you've seen in Star Trek a lot, in terms of the actual poker playing, I think that unless you're a poker player, you won't particularly enjoy the detailed hands that are sometimes described. They don't lean on that a lot. They do it 2 or 3 different times, and that's fine. But, it's done short enough to where it doesn't really get in the way if you don't know anything about poker or care about it. But again, I don't think they even needed to really do that. I suppose another element of this is that Odo learns to play poker really, really well within 24 hours. Not really very realistic whatsoever. Another note, because I like to stay positive about this one, because I did enjoy it. And I was almost ready to just give up on these books, but this one was fun enough to where I was like, okay, let's keep going. Back to that idea of callbacks to other things from the Next Generation characters. There's also a callback to a particular element of what could be technobabble in a episode of the Next Generation, which is the basis for this phasing in and out of subspace. The exact name of the episode I don't recall. You will remember it if you are a huge fan of the Next Generation. It is where I believe Geordi and I don't remember her name, the Bajoran on the Enterprise, who's very grunge and Gen X. She's got dark hair and she just doesn't care about authority. What's her name? Not Rom. Whatever. She was going to actually be the actress that was going to play Kira, and then she, I think, deferred, and then the actress that played Kira on Deep Space Nine took the role. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, in that episode, Geordi and her get phased out of normal space. They run around trying to figure out what's going on and communicate to people. That technology is called back into this and is the basis for a lot of the action. And again, I thought that was enjoyable. Anytime a book can bring you back to the world of the television series in an elegant way, I think that's usually a win, as long as it's not relying entirely upon that. And so that was a really good element of this book. Sandy Schofield. Sandy Schofield, you won me over, Sandy. So far, you're my favorite Deep Space Nine author. We'll see if you hold the rank. A couple of other things that are weaknesses of this book, not specifically, but of the series so far, is what I would really like to do is try to talk to the person who is in charge of talking to the writers and telling them what they had to do, because I'm pretty sure in a franchise like Star Trek, that's what happens with writers. They're probably given certain rules, certain things to follow, possibly even saying, hey, you have to put this character in to the book, even if it doesn't make sense. Jake Sisko is running around with Nog again. Those brief chapters just don't really go anywhere. Jake Sisko's character in all these books, some would argue even the series, not really that great. Even though I will say there was a couple of episodes of Deep Space Nine where Jake figured in, which I enjoyed quite a bit. Specifically the one where he and Nog trade for a baseball card for his father. I actually enjoyed that little episode. You'll know the name of it. I don't have it on hand right now, and I refuse to look it up. But you get that in these books. It seems like someone told them, hey, you have to write 10 pages where Jake is there, and all the authors are just like, okay, let's put him running around with Nog, thinking in his mind how he shouldn't be running around doing things with Nog. And again, we see this thing in this book. I'm going to be curious if this persists, but there is no internal monologue there is no internal thoughts of Dax. Dax is always just on the bridge at the, not the bridge, but ops in Deep Space Nine doing science with a ponytail. That's what she does in all these books. She stands there and does science and talks technobabble, usually with Sisko. So, also, besides Emissary, interestingly, Sisko himself doesn't play a huge role in these books so far. They seem to really evenly divide it up between main characters. I can't say anything really that bad about this book. I enjoyed it. Pick it up. The Big Game. Sign me up for the Sandy Schofield fan club so far. Not bad at all. Star Trek Deep Space Nine #4. Stay tuned. You'll be seeing more videos from me very soon. More in the Star Trek Deep Space Nine novel series and much, much more. Thank you. Like and subscribe if you would. That would be very helpful. And I'll see you next time.